All right, boys and girls, welcome back to the drive-through. For a little under-the-weather version here, if I sound a little Barry White-esque, I just got some throat stuff going on, and it's making it smooth. All right, here's the last video of Chapter 7. It's basically like all of the different strategies you've acquired to solve or find desired things in quadratic equations. So this is the Quadmaster leg day version. So Carlos likes to use tables. I'm just going to jot this here. Zach uses a graph. Clarita factors. Tia completes the square, okay? And Tahani uses the quadratic formula. I will do the first one all by hand, and then we will just use our graphing calculator for the rest. We will not be using John Rick, but John Rick is used to help us factor. Okay? And to be clear on your test, I do not care what you use. I want you to get the right answer. I want you to support your answer with whatever you're able to support it with. A graph, a table. Okay? Here we go. So, Carlitos' strategy is to make a table. We're trying to figure out where does this thing equal 0. So let me start by just picking a random value. So let me put in a 0. If I put in a 0, I get a negative 15. So let me put a 1 and see what direction this goes. 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 1 is a negative 16. So that's further away from our answer. So I'm thinking I'm going to try like a negative 4. I'm just trying it. Negative 4 squared is 16. 16 plus 8 is 24. 24 minus 15 is 9, so I went too far. Let me try negative 3. Okay? Negative 3 squared is 9, plus 6 is 15. There we go. Bingo. I got a 0 there. Okay? So let me try, how about a negative 1? What does that give us? Ooh, hold on. Let me try a negative 2 and see what happens. I'm going to see if I can find some symmetry. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 minus 15 is negative 7. So we got to go the other way. So I'm going to try negative 5. Negative 5 squared is 25. 25 plus 10 is, that's not right. How about negative 1? Oh, okay. It's going to be plus. Is it going to be plus 5? It's going to be 5. Let me check positive 5. I would never do it this way, for the record. Carlos's method takes way too much time. 25 minus 10 is 15. 15 minus, there you go. So our answers are there and there. 5 and negative 3. Okay? Clarita factors it. Okay? So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 15 and add to be negative 2. That's x minus 5 times x plus 3. Therefore, x must equal, what do I put in for x to give me 0? No, what do I put in for x here to give me 0? 5, very good. And what do I put in for x here to give me 0? Negative 3. Okay? That's much faster to factor it. Completing the square. Well, this graphing strategy we'll just do on the next page. Okay? Completing the square, I'm going to need a little more room, so I'll go down here. We're looking at, let's see, x squared minus 2x minus 15 equals 0. Okay? Take 2, cut it in half, it's negative 1. Square it, you get plus 1. But then I got to subtract 1 to that side. So I get x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 16 equals 0. And that is x minus 1 squared minus 16 equals 0. So now I know that my vertex is at 1 comma negative 16. But that doesn't help me find my zeros. So completing the square is not a good strategy for this one. Quadratic formula would be a good strategy. X equals minus b plus or minus big square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So in this case, we're looking at x squared. So it's b is 2, a is 1, b is negative 2, c is negative 15. Let me get myself some room. So you get 2 plus or minus big square root of 4 minus 4 times 1 times negative 15 all over 2. So it's 2 plus or minus big square root of. This whole thing is 60 plus 4 over 2. Square root of 64 is 8. 2 plus or minus 8 over 2. What's 2 plus 8? 10 over 2. 5. What's 2 minus 8? Negative 6 over 2. Well, good. That's what we got. Okay? So that's all the stuff you learned how to do it by hand. But that's not how we're going to do any of this stuff. So from here on out, I'm just going to pick a couple different ways, Carson, I could do these. Okay? I'm not going to do every way every time. It's just an insult to our time. If you guys have any questions about your graphing calculator, you just come find me. Okay? So, let's go. Let's type in y equals 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. Okay? Now, we're trying to solve it. So we're trying to figure out what values do I put in for x to give me 0. So then there's two ways I can do this from my graph. I can look to see what those values are. Those are tough for me to see, so what am I going to go look at? I'm going to go look at my table. What do I put in for x to give me 0 for y? One of them is negative 1. I can't find the other one using, I'm sorry, yeah, one of them is negative 1. I cannot find the other one using the table. So this one gives me x equals negative 1. But it doesn't give me the other one. Okay? So let's go back to our graph and see if we can zoom in maybe and use our water bug, Carson. Okay, there we go. So what are we going to do? Calculate 0. Just to confirm our first answer. Come on, water bug. Oh man, this thing moves really slow when you zoom in. Alright, here we are. We're to the left of our answer. Hit enter. Go to the right of our answer. Come on. Hit enter. Take a guess. Yes. There's the answer we already got. Now we can do it again. Hit enter. Get to the right of our answer. I don't know why, it's just slow right there. Hit enter. Guess in between there, and we get negative 1/2. So I think the graphing one was maybe here. No, I don't know. Okay? And I think I'll skip the completing the square one on this, because I wouldn't complete the square with x equals 2, but I would like to show the quadratic formula. Okay? So we could have just used the quadratic formula, x equals minus b. What's b in this case? So b is 3, so we're going to do minus 3 plus or minus big square root of. So 9 minus 4 times a times c. 2, 1, all over 2 times 1, right? So you get negative 3 plus or minus square root of 9 minus 8 is 1 all over 2. What's the square root of 1? It's 1. So it's negative 3 plus or minus 1 all over 2. What's negative 3 minus 1? Negative 4 divided by 2. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let me pause this, see where our mistake is. All right, Mr. Crow with the big help. It's all over 2a, which you said. What's a in this case? 2. It's 2. So on the bottom, what should we have? We should have a 4. And this is exactly what's nice about having more than one way to do something, is you have a chance to check your work. Okay? So what is negative 3 minus 1 again, Carson? And negative 4 divided by positive 4? Okay, what is negative 3 plus 1? And negative 2 divided by negative 4 is negative 1/2. So notice they match up. Okay? Is that enough versions?
Yeah, that's enough versions.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. All right, x squared minus 4x minus 8. Since a is 1 here, I'm going to try to factor it first. Two numbers that multiply to be negative, 8 that add to be 4.
4 and 2.
No. So this one's not factorable. Okay? No problem. Let's go to the table. You got x squared plus 4x minus 8. Okay? Let's graph it. We're going to have to zoom out. All right, so it looks like this one looks like it might be a half. Maybe they're both halves, but I kind of doubt it. So let's just take a look. What are we going to calculate? Zeros. Get to the left of my answer. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. All right, let's try it again. Calculate zeros. Come on, keep going. Enter. 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 So this means 0. This right here means 0. This is accurate. So negative 5.464. Let's see. I guess this would be this. Or, now we got to go over to the right side. and 1.46. Okay? Let's complete the square. Let's see if we can do that on this one. So, to complete the square, you would do x squared plus 4x minus 8 equals 0. You're actually going to move the 8 over. You get x squared plus 4x equals 8. What's half of 4? 2 squared. I added 4 to that side, so I got to add 4 to that side. On the left, I get x plus 2 squared. And on the right, I get 12. How do I get rid of squaring something? So x plus 2 is radical 12. What's being done to the x? Nope. What's being done to the x? Nope. What's being done to the x? We're adding 2. How do you get rid of adding 2? Subtract 2. So you get x, this should be plus or minus, is plus or minus the square root of 12 minus 2. And if you do the square root of 12, I guarantee you it's 3.464, and that's how we came up with these numbers. You could do the quadratic formula, and it would also lead you to the exact same decimals. Okay? So, down here, this is all that really matters. Describe why each strategy works. They're all founded on the same mathematical practices. Strategies. As the students continue to try out their strategies, they notice that sometimes one works better than another. Of course. Explain how to decide. Well, here's what I think I would do. I would always try to factor first, Carson, right? So I would factor it first. Then I would look at my table. Then I would use the graphing calculator to calculate zeros, if I couldn't do that. If I didn't have a graphing calculator, then what would I do? I would use quadratic formula or complete the square, whichever one you're better at. Does that make sense? That's how I do it. Now, this is a new challenge here for us now. So, I don't care about which strategy we're going to use. I really don't. But I really do care about this question. So, it's an extra challenge. What does it mean to solve a system of equations? You've done this before. If we had this, how would I solve those systems of equations? Plug it in. Pronouns. Don't know what you're talking about.
You would plug in x or y.
I could take this y and plug it in for this y. So I could say 3x minus 2. I have no idea why I did that. Equals 2x plus 6. Is that what you're saying? And you'd get x equals 8. So then what would y equal? Just plug it in. What's 3 times 8? 24 minus 2. Let's check the other one. What's 2 times 8? 16 plus 6. 22. Okay? So that's one way. What's another way I could find this system of equations? Well, what shape is this, Carson? Nope. It's a line. And what shape is this one? It's a line. So then what could I do to those two lines? I could just graph them. Something like this, see where they meet, right? Okay, well that would work. So how do you want to do this one? You want to substitute or you want to graph? All right. So we have to do this. Let me erase. We are going to ask ourselves, where are these two equal? So where does x squared minus 4x plus 1, where does that equal x minus 3? Well, how are we going to solve this? Yeah, we got to get everything on the same side. Okay? So let's subtract x. You get x squared minus, that's a 1x, very good. X squared minus 5x plus 1 equals 3, equals negative 3. Sorry, next step. Add 3 to both sides. I would minus 1 if I was going to complete the square, but you don't like completing the square. Now what would you do when it looked like this, Carson? How do you solve this equation? Excellent. I think we can factor this one. Looking for two numbers that multiply to be positive, but they add to be negative. So they both must be what's negative 4 times negative 1? Positive 4. What's negative 4 plus negative 1? So what's the answer? Positive 1, Carson. What number do I put in for my x to give me 0, right? You got to remember that. Now, so what does that mean? Well, that means we have two different points of intersection. So, if we put in a 4, what are we going to get for our y? Let's see. 4 minus 3. Very good. We get a 1 for our y. Whoops. And if we put in a 1, what are we going to get for our y? 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Why does this keep happening? So those should be the points where our stuff intersects. Well, let's go back over that from a graphing standpoint. Okay? So, what does y equal? Y equals x squared minus 4x plus 1, right? What's our other equation? Y equals x minus 3. Let's sketch a graph. Look what we got. We got a parabola. We got a line. How many times does it intersect? Twice. What are we going to calculate now, Carson? We're going to calculate, what are we going to pick on there? Nope. Nope. Yep. We're going to calculate the intersection. Are we to the left of our answer?
Looks like it.
Yes. Now we need to get to the right of our answer. Is that the right of our answer? Yep. Calculate. Would you like for me to take a guess? Bam. 1, negative 2. Is that one of our answers? Excellent. Now we're going to go over here, it looks like. And we are going to calculate. What are we going to calculate again, Carson? The intersection. Hit enter. Go to the other curve. Get to the right of the answer. Hit enter. Would you like for me to take a guess? I would. 4, 1. Does that make you feel good? Can I get a boom? Boom! Boom!